How you doing, everybody? Thanks for joining us today for another edition of Rolling Over the Hill on the Live to Roll channel. Today's show will be open discussion. So thanks for joining us. My name is Robert Soto. I am a T12 spinal cord injury from a motorcycle racing accident back in 1974. In fact, tomorrow, the 10th, is my injury anniversary, or whatever you want to call it. It'll be 49 years tomorrow at 2 p.m. So,
Wow.
so yeah, it's kind of been a journey. But I am very happy to be joined by my co-host Bobby. What's going on? How's your week been?
Oh man, thanks everyone for joining us. Glad to be back. I'm doing well. I'm a C5-6 quadriplegic. Congratulations on 49 years. I think next year
Yeah,
we're gonna have to make it
crazy.
50 years golden. I think,
Yeah. Well,
we're good.
for next year, really, it's kind of I'm not really into my birthdays and things like that, but it'll be a milestone for me. I'm looking at because I'll be 70 years old and 50 years in a chair. Because I got hurt a couple weeks before my 20th birthday.
That's funny that you said the time. You said
Yeah.
2 p.m.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
I think because mine's in 2 weeks. My anniversary, I 34 years. And my
Wow.
anniversary was around 2 o'clock too.
Yeah.
I
It's
know it
just
was
crazy.
in the afternoon, and it had to be around 2:30. I always say.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I do have some pictures that I found. I had a picture from that day that some friends got me, put it framed in and everything like that. But it was like a few years ago. I was cruising around on the internet, just surfing the internet. And so I looked up the photographer and the racetrack of that day. And so I just happened to see a bunch of uh, pictures and stuff that he took from other races and stuff. Well, it ended up uh, finding the picture that I got that was framed, but there were a couple other pictures of me that day, and one of them was me after I just got ran over on the ground, sprawled out. And then I go, whoa, I mean, it didn't really affect me in any way other than I can't believe I found this, after all these years. And so I talked to the photographer because his father had passed and he's was still selling photographs. So anyway, he ended up giving me the pictures, and so I had it, and so I showed my family, and my family is the one that had the reactions.
Oh
They,
yeah.
they were just really quiet, and they go, "Well, how do you feel about it?" I go, "Well, I don't really feel anything about it. I'm just more surprised that after so many years, I finally looked on the internet and did a little research and found this picture. And it was just weird. It was just weird to find it like that. But yeah, I still have that. And, I have it on the
No,
phone. I have to check out.
I remember that. Sorry about the barking. I remember that day when you showed it to me,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
was yeah. But the one thing is, you can't really see your face or anything like that. So I
yeah.
think I
Yeah,
think
but
it
it's just
doesn't probably affect you as much.
yeah,
You don't
yeah,
see the pain on
but
your face
yeah,
or anything.
yeah. I don't need to see the picture. I remember it. It's one of
Yeah,
those things. Yeah,
yeah,
it's just crazy. But yeah, it's been quite a journey, man.
yeah. Well, I know when you actually just opened up and you asked me how I was doing. Pretty good week. I mean, for those who follow us exclusively here on Live to Roll, a couple weeks ago, I talked about my 32 days in the hospital. And since I've been home, just one day at a time and getting stronger, starting to work out again. So I'm feeling good about that. And, uh, let's see here. It was on Monday. Took the wife out. We went to go couch hunting
Mhm.
and found a new couch, and then took her to lunch. And being out in the public, it's a little different for me right now.
Yeah,
Even though you're in a hospital, but you're inside, and then you come home, you kind of stay inside. So getting out after being sick, it's I'm not used to it.
yeah,
Being around people, and it probably doesn't help that. It probably doesn't help that uh, we had COVID
yeah. Well,
and
yeah,
we
it's been a
isolated
while.
ourselves.
It's
Yeah,
been a
we
while.
isolated ourselves for a while.
Yeah,
And then, even though I had started doing things again, I still felt like just that isolation for that 32 days. It's just kind of
yeah,
being
yeah.
around people. It feels weird.
Well, for me, I think since I retired, I mean, I still like getting out and hanging out with some of my buddies and stuff like that. But I think I'm becoming more of an introvert. I find myself, kind of like just kicking back at home, spending more time in my house because before, I was always working and I never really had a chance to enjoy my house or get into it. I slept here and that was it. And then, I was working, the 12-hour days or whatever. But so I think nowadays for me, I really do find a lot of comfort in just kind of hanging around the house. I find things to do to keep me busy or, just kick back and, I've been getting into watching some movies and things like that. So my whole thing is when I retired, people go, "Oh, what are you going to do? You're going to travel? You're going to do that?" I go, "I'm going to do nothing." That's what my whole thing is. My retirement is to just be home and hang out and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of it's I like being home nowadays, and that's why I'm doing a few things to the house just for myself, just to enjoy it.
Well, and I know one thing geez, one thing we talk about with our, when we retire, but with our disability and traveling, it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
Trying to
yeah.
find the perfect place to go where it's accessible, and then you do find the perfect place, but then when you go out and explore, it's not always accessible, and so we find ourselves at the traveling, the place you stay at, and the surroundings. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, yeah. It's just a lot of things are getting to be a lot of work, man, no matter what it is. But
I hear you.
it just like I said, I look back sometimes and all the stuff that I thought was just like panic mode and all that stuff. I look back and kind of laugh now because at the time, it's like so serious and all that. Now I look back and God, I survived that one and kind of have a little chuckle about it. It's just funny if you look back, especially you 34 years or whatever, and you look back at some of the things that you just survived or made it through that day or whatever it was. Because there's certain things I remember. I go, oh my God, I can't believe that happened or whatever.
There was a time I flew from here to Jersey, stayed at Jersey for Ability Expo, and I know Quad Life was just asking if we're going to be at the Abilities Expo, and yeah, we're going to be at Abilities Expo if you want to come and check us out at 11:03. But there was a time I went to New Jersey for their Abilities Expo. This was 20 years ago. I had just started dating my wife, and I flew there by myself, had my own room. I did have somebody come in the morning to help me out, but at night I was transferring onto the bed. And this bed was a lot higher than my chair.
Yeah.
The first night I did it just fine. And I don't know if it was the next day and the travel and all day at the expo, but the next day or next night I was trying to get on the bed and I popped up and I didn't quite make it.
Oh man.
And I went down slowly to the ground and I was just like, oh, are you freaking kidding me? And this is before, maybe even before cell phone days. And, that you would really carry your cell
Yeah.
phone around,
Yeah.
or you could say, and I don't want to say it, or, hey, you know what? And because
Yeah.
if I say it right now, I'm going to hear like, yes,
Yeah.
can I? But I was able to reach behind and pull the hotel phone off. And I called the operator. And I'm like, I'm in a chair. I fell on the ground. Then they bring in a maintenance guy and another maintenance guy, and they got me up. And and he's like, I was like, thank you so much. And he's asking me about my chair. But the funny, I survived it, and
Yeah.
can't believe I did all that crap on my own.
Yeah. It's I used to travel a lot for my job and all that. And I look back now and like I said, there's obviously my decline is happening. I see it and feel it now. But yeah, it's just some of those things that there's so many stories. If I sat down and wrote them, we could do a whole year's worth of probably shows, probably you and I together here, just talking about the stories and things that we can tell. But it's the thing that it just sometimes I get to the point, and like I said, I'm pretty much I've never given up and all that. But sometimes I find myself just like, oh man, does it ever get really any easier? When I'm getting in one of those moods and just going, it needs to get easy. But I find myself, I'm okay getting around mobility wise and all that in terms of pushing a chair and all that. It's just my transfers are affecting me nowadays, and it seems as I get older, I'm having more issues with my bladder. Where before I never really used to have much bladder
Yeah,
issues.
I know we were talking
Yeah,
about Bladder and key things to do, like I know I was telling you about, are you taking your vitamin C and cranberry? And I know you've kind of, those worked, but not all the
Yeah,
time. So
yeah.
what's going on with your bladder? How are you dealing with it now?
Well, it's been a couple weeks since I got off antibiotics. I had a bladder infection going to UTI, and so you and I we were talking about this product before. It's called Eucora, and so I kind of finally just got to the point. I go, I got to give it a try. It's like 40, $50, whatever the costs are for the regimen. And I guess it was primarily at first made for or implemented for women with their urinary tract health. And so anyway, I started reading up a little bit more on it, and it is for men. There's also a different kind of product line, but so I take it some tablets twice a day. You take them every day, and those that's called Defend, and it's got a bunch of product in it that ingredients in it. That's it includes Domano's green tea extract, vitamin D, uh, turmeric root extract. Okay, that's that. Then I got also a thing that goes along with this is a flush, and that's something you put in like 8 ounces of water and drink it. You can even, depending on what your lifestyle is, you can take it every 3 days, every other day, or every day. So and that works to just clean out your urinary tract, just to flush it. And the Defend that mentioned earlier, that's about cleaning your bladder walls and getting your bladder walls healthy. And this flush has calcium, citric acid, mannose, magnesium, potassium citrate, B6, and vitamin C, which you said how good vitamin C is. So right up to now, I've been taking it for probably just a little over a week, and I think because I thought I was going to starting to get another UTI, the cloudiness and things like that, and that's always a big indicator for me. But I don't get the fevers, I don't get the odor on it, so I was kind of hoping it's like borderline right now. So I just keep powering this stuff, and it's getting cleaner and clearer, and so I'm hoping it's just this the cloudiness may just be some of the stuff flushing out and cleaning, and I don't know how the total aspect of how it works, but I think if you're having issues kind of similar to what I was having with the cloudiness and all that, you might want to look at this or at least read up on it and check it out.
It's called Eucora. Is that
Yeah,
what?
it's Uqora,
Okay. Yeah.
and you're
Maybe we
based
might
out of
have,
San Diego.
if it really works well for you, we might have to get them as a sponsor for
Oh, that'd be great.
more.
Like I said, I'm a little into it for a little over a week, and seems to be doing something because most of the time, if I got that cloudiness, man, it just hits, and I'm back on antibiotics. So right up to now, and it's not to clear. It's not to. It's just to help your urinary tract health. So it's not like saying, oh, this is going to replace antibiotics. No, it's in addition to, and they really don't want you taking that flush while you're on antibiotics. The pills are okay. So there's a lot of things that you need to just kind of look up on it, but there's something to it. I'm not saying it's the miracle drug, but there's something too because it's working for me.
Well, and if anything is to promote bladder, I'll try it. When
Yeah,
somebody tells me about a tea, I'll try it. Or when
yeah,
somebody told me about Demonos,
yeah,
or Quad Life said it, the cranberry pills, I'll try it. Right now, knock on wood, I've had really awesome bladder management right now since I got out of the hospital, because when I was in the hospital, I was getting IV antibiotics for a bunch of
yeah,
different little things. So I think it cleared everything up, and I'm managing. So luckily, right now,
yeah,
I wouldn't have to go to that part. But if I'll look it up. And also, I always think take your vitamin C, and
yeah,
look into the cranberry pills, like Quad Life said. And speaking of our chat, we got Quad Life in the house. We got Andrew. Andrew, I hope you're getting better soon. Definitely, I know that's been uh, a big strain on you. So wishing you the best, my friend. We got Bert, we got Daryl, and we got Roy that just joined us. So hey everyone, thanks for joining us, and we got Mike in the house. So thanks everyone. I know we had this as an open discussion, and one thing we were talking about, it's kind of gets to that bitchy whiny section, a little bit where us old guys, we start talking about like the weather, how it affects us, and beautiful day here in Southern California. And I know we have nothing to complain about, but again, we've had a lot of rain, and guess what's on the forecast for tomorrow? Rain.
Yeah, rain all day, a lot of
Yeah,
rain. Some atmospheric river, so that's usually the downpour.
yeah.
But
And if it's not our bladder affecting us, it's the weather affecting us and
yeah,
all that crap.
yeah,
So
it's just the aging piece I feel. But also, just to continue me whining, I've been nursing my shoulder. Uh, it all started just like probably a little over a month ago. Because I used crutches to stand up to get in and out of my truck. I'm not walking much anymore, but I use that at least to still stand up and not because my transfers are not any good. But anyway, so it's been okay. A little sometimes it's a little slower. I'm not as strong as I used to, but anyway, I could do it. So one time I was getting out of my truck, which is usually the easiest part. And so when I get out, I'm not using the crutches. I'm holding on to my back of my truck seat and the door handle, right? I get out of there, and whatever it was, I pulled something in my shoulder. And my shoulders are shot. For those of you who don't know, they're just damaged with the just the biceps screwed up and my rotators and all that. So I pulled it. So I go, that was kind of weird. So I didn't think much of it because before when I do stuff like that, I didn't rest or anything because I was working so much at the time. It was no big deal. I just kept working it. So these days, I say, now that I'm not working, I can do my body right and give it rest. So I started giving it rest for a few weeks. But the thing is what happens too, if I not continue getting up, I'm losing that strength there and that technique. If I go 2, 3 weeks without standing, so anyway, I started getting up a couple times. So this past Tuesday, I had an appointment I had to go. So I go, well, I'm just going to go for it. So it was okay, a little shaky and stuff, but I did it. But getting out again, I did it a couple times that day, and the third time when I got home, getting out in my driveway, I could feel me pulling it, and I don't know what my technique is that's causing that because anyway, so that's what I'm doing. I'm kind of going through, hopefully, giving it some rest so I can go for it again. But I don't want to stay off it too long because then, it's going to be harder for me to start doing it, getting back up on my feet. So,
have you thought about physical therapy,
well,
or
yeah,
have
I
you
talked to my I
looked
talked
at?
to my doctor about that, and mostly the physical therapy piece we were talking about was with me aging and my transfers, sucking and all that stuff. I go, maybe someone can help me with a method, that's going to help something because I can't do it the same way I did it before. And so yeah, we're talking about that. And in fact, I had last time I was in therapy, was in 2017 when I first really damaged the shoulders. Um, they've been, getting off and on all throughout my life, damaging them, and I just never really did anything about it. But now I have to start doing it because it
Yeah.
doesn't bother me so much when I'm pushing; it's when I'm reaching or pulling. You
So
know?
it's a certain movement,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'll tell you this one thing you said about the physical therapy and a different method of transferring, but uh, you know, we talked about pain management on
yeah.
Tuesday for anyone who wasn't able to join us on Tuesday for our Live to Roll with Shawn and Tom and myself. If you haven't checked it out, check it out because it was a really good show on pain management. And and I forgot Dominic's in the house, and then also Renee just joined us. So, welcome, Dominic.
Hey
You
guys.
were up at the top of my scroll, so I missed you.
Yeah,
But go back and check that out. But one thing I mentioned on our pain management with physical therapy helping a lot, and I was getting numbness coming from my neck down to my elbow, and especially when I was driving. So it was only during a certain time when I was driving, or sometimes when I was sitting here at the desk, and I wasn't even doing anything. But I think just a certain way when I'm positioned, all of a sudden I felt it numbing, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, just trying to get it out, and it would work out. But when I went to physical therapy, they were doing movements and stretching out certain parts, it doesn't get numb anymore.
oh,
And then she was giving me some exercise. So something to look into,
yeah.
Robert.
Yeah. Well,
Physical
I know
therapy
when I
is a way.
when I had the therapy before, they used to want me to hold my shoulders, get you in the habit of holding them back a little bit more because I kind of roll them forward. They said that helps a lot just with your movement. And but they were doing a thing, and I don't know. I want to find out a little bit more about if I go back to therapy. They were doing a thing where they were using that rock tape, and they would put a couple strips of tape, one right here, and pull it across my back, and then
Oh
another
yeah.
one right next to it and pull it the opposite way. So what that was doing was, since there's all those stabilizer muscles around my rotator and all that stuff, that automatically kind of have those muscles triggered. So when I do stand up, because lots of times, sometimes when I stand up, I do make a couple attempts because that kind of gets those things fired up, and then the third time I can stand because they're already getting fired up. So there's just a lot of things that I need to just refresh myself or find another way of another method or technique to kind of just you
Well,
know
the one thing I think you're talking about, and you showed us a really cool product that you're hoping that they're going to be at the Abilities Expo, is
yeah
where you don't have to stand up anymore and transfer into your truck,
yeah
is a van.
yeah. Well, last year was the first year I kind of went just to check them out. I just kind of glanced at them and all that. So I've done a lot of questioning you guys and all that, and then a little research and all that. So I kind of have better idea what I'm looking for, what I want, and so I'm gonna spend a lot of time this weekend or Friday tomorrow to yeah, get some answers and kind of see because the costs are like crazy. You know, it's crazy stuff. And I'm going to look at mostly at the SUV, Chevy Traverse. I know there's not as much room as the vans have, but I just kind of like that SUV, look of it. And I showed you guys that one other company that I looked at, but you don't see too many of those in terms of uh, mobility equipment out there in vehicles. So, but my question is, the Braun and what is it, VMI? Is there anyone better than the other? And I know it's just all a matter of opinion, but because the
Yeah,
Braun has the Traverse and they do a lot of stuff there, but I also hear VMI does a little bit. Some things are better on their conversions. I don't know.
it can be. Some people prefer quickie. Some people
Yeah, yeah,
prefer
yeah,
highlight. It's. I think it's
yeah.
what I've always had brawn,
Hmm.
and no rhyme or reason. It just when I went and got a van, it was, oh, we have this van. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
okay, and it's got
yeah,
brawn. I'm like, okay. The one thing I just knew I did not want is the ramp that went underneath. As long as
yeah,
my ramp, folded out, it was it
yeah,
was it was going to work a lot better.
yeah,
And back in the day, I knew a lot of the VMIs did the ramp underneath, and the top part of the ramp was going to be too hard for me at the time. So I just always had brawn and no rhyme or reason.
yeah, yeah.
And
But it's
they,
been good
I
for me
think
though,
they've
right?
been around a little bit longer.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think Braun, was a gentleman who was in a chair,
Hmm.
started the company. And
Yeah.
so kind of support that.
Yeah. Well, so I'll find out more tomorrow. And like I said, I kind of been thinking about the financial side of it. So I just have to work. I got that kind of worked out, but I just got to make sure to see how it works with, the payments and either leasing or whatever I'm going to do. But yeah, it's a little disappointing the cost of those things, man. I mean, you figure the dollars and, and especially when you first get hurt and stuff, you don't know what you're going to need and all that. And if you go out and buy a van and see, for me, I've done all this years without it, and so now it's just going to be. It really is the right thing. I mean, I'm kind of still fighting it and all that, but safety, ease, and longevity, more mobility for me probably be a lot easier. Just I'm not worrying about slippery floors or anything like that when I'm walking or standing. So it
Mhm.
just it's just me, making up my mind and say, okay, I'm going to do this,
Yeah.
and stop trying to hang on to something that really I should just be throwing to the wayside there and get moving forward with better mobility for myself.
I wanted to get, before we move too far away from our subject, is I think it was Quad Life. He asked about the pain in between the shoulder blades.
Uh,
And I just wanted to let him know that, yeah, I definitely have. And I think it's a little bit higher where I get the pain. And so sometimes I'm like, oh, I just have to run my shoulders out, and I know what it is, and I know it's that technology that sits on our lap where you're looking at your phone or you're kind of looking down all the time, and you just
Yeah,
you just kind of get into this crunching mode, and so you got to get those shoulders back. And I know
yeah,
one thing when
yeah,
I try to exercise is getting some movement back where I'm stretching those shoulder blades out. So
yeah,
try that, Claude.
yeah. Also, what about I know we've talked about this in the past too, because I'm probably ready for this too. There's a lot of things that I need right now. Is a good bed with elevated head at least. I don't know if I need so much the feet to have elevated, but I gotta do something there because I find
Oh,
myself getting these pillows, and you're supposed to really support your neck, and I'm like laying flat and I got my neck all tweaked, watch TV or whatever, because I sit in the chair most of the day on all day, and then unless I'm gonna take a nap or something like that, but when I lay down at night, because I got these certain pills that I really like, but they're real squishy, and I got them contorted to hold my head up, but I really
yeah.
do need to get
I'll tell you, I did it. In fact, I got a message on my phone that said, "Congratulations, it's 2 years from my app of my sleep number."
mhm,
And so I went to the sleep number I got 2 years ago has the elevating head, and
yeah,
we didn't want the feet, so we
yeah,
just did the head. And I'll tell you, it pays off if you go to bed around 8:30,
yeah,
and I really should be honest, like between 7:30 and 8. If you're going, if you're getting in bed, so just you're done with the day, you've eaten, and you want to chill and watch TV, and you don't want to get
yeah,
in and out of the couch. I definitely head for the bed, and I love that the bed comes up, and I don't
yeah,
have to worry about stacking up the pillows, and
yeah.
I kind of sleep a little bit elevated. I
Yeah,
don't like to be
yeah.
fully flat.
That's like me when the times I'm in the hospital because I don't have an elevated bed here, but I always have it like a little bit elevated. But yeah, I don't need the feet. I don't think I do, but yeah, I got to get something going there. It just my mattress is I forget how old it is, and it's just I really feel that I think it's just not really supporting me anymore like it's supposed to. So that's another thing there that I feel nowadays. And it affects I'm sure it affects my sleep. I mean, I'm like for me, if I don't have anything going, I like kick it back as early as I can once I get things done during the day. And for me, the 9 o'clock is my new midnight. And so there's no way I'm out at night, late night anymore. I'm more of a morning person. I get up early in the morning. I do my thing. In fact, for me, if I have to do errands or anything like that, it's really good for me around the 10 o'clock mark to be out and about. So this way I'm home by 2 or 3 o'clock, whatever, and it's my body uh, functions the best at those times in the
Oh
morning.
yeah, because you're fresh, and then
Yeah,
that definitely helps out. Getting back to our chat, Andrew asked, how do you deal with people mouthing you in public? Um, uh, what is it? Where is it? I know he was asking about. Oh, there it is. How do you deal with people mouthing you public, transport, Facebook, and YouTube? I don't just ignore it.
yeah,
That's what I would do. Christina, looking uh, looking forward to seeing everyone at the expo. I'm not going to be there. Robert's going to be there on
yep,
Friday. Live to
yep.
Roll will be there. Booth 1103. So definitely come in and check it out. Roy, he's in his van. What's that? So I'm not sure what UVL van is. So you might have to throw that in the chat. Let us know. John, I just got out of the hospital about a week ago with a kidney infection. Now I'm drinking plenty of water. Yeah, calving often. Your core
What are,
looks
what, are the,
good.
what are the symptoms of a kidney infection?
I think it's the same as a bladder infection, but I think when you start getting the blood in the urine, I
Yeah,
think
okay,
that's when
that's
you know.
okay,
So, John, let
okay,
us know how you knew you had a kidney infection, or if it
yes,
was kind of similar to a UTI and they discovered that I've never had a kidney infection.
yeah.
So,
That's what I wanted to
yeah.
know. I never.
So, John, let us know.
I see
Yeah.
Dominic's got some plans for Sunday at the Food and Wine Festival, going to California Adventure, and Sunday's supposed to be a break in the day, the rain and all that. So looks like he's got a nice Sunday planned.
So Mr. Disney himself. And then Roy, no, I have not seen a pillow that looks like a giant candy cane. So definitely have to share where you get something like that. So it wraps around your, if it's like to support your shoulders or not. So interesting. How do you sleep? Are you sleeping pretty well, Bob?
Nah, if I fall asleep like my days, been sitting up all day, so I kick back. So if I fall asleep around 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'll sleep 3 hours and wake up. It's good sleep, but I wake up, so it's probably 12, 12:30. Sometimes I go right back to sleep. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes I sleep for a little bit, wake up. I Before I retired, I functioned consistently on 4 hours a night. So, I once I get up, especially at work, even if you're tired, the minute you get there, you hit the ground running. Then I'm off to 10, 12 hour days. So I never really had a chance to be tired because you can't stop and then um, come home and just crap out. But yeah, I can use better sleep. It'd be nice to be able to sleep, get at least 7 hours sleep, 6 hours sleep consistently. And but now I wake up, I'll watch TV for a little bit, then I'll doze off again, or I'll turn the TV off for a little while, and it just depends. But yeah, my sleep is a straight 3, 4 hours, and that's it. And if there's any more sleep, it's just off and on.
Uh,
What about
yeah,
you?
I I go in spurt. So sometimes I can get a great 7 hours of sleep, no
Yeah,
problem. And then I'll go for a couple months where it's just terrible. If I get 3 hours of straight sleep, I'll be lucky. It's
yeah,
depending on what my body's going through right now. I think because I'm still in recovery mode,
yeah,
I'm getting great sleep. I'm waking up going, wow, that was great. And I
yeah,
didn't even have to take anything, meaning I didn't have to take a gummy. I didn't have to
yeah.
take, I have an anxiety pill that my doctor gave me, and
Mhm.
he gave me 50 of these. And I think I have like maybe 10 left. So I've taken it 20 times. And those 20 times that I've taken it, or how many times, it's like the most gorgeous sleep I've ever had. I wake up and I kind of even wake up late, but I don't wake up too drowsy. I'm just like, wow, that was awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
um, and I think the pill is Xanax. So don't know if anybody's ever dealt with that, but it's just, I always just know that, oh, that's my sleeping pill if I really, really need it. And
yeah,
that's,
yeah,
I take those during those months that I might have a whole week of having 3 hours of sleep each night, and just like finally I gotta do something, or I'm not gonna function. So I'll try that.
yeah. Well, yeah, I'd like to say for me, the sleep thing, there's times where I do get a really good night's sleep, and oh yeah, you wake up in the morning. There's a big difference of having the sleep that you're supposed to have and the sleep that I struggle through. But I think there's a lot of things for me. There's a lot of things that start bugging me because like I'm a T12, I'm a low injury, so I have hypersensitivity in I'm around my waist, my legs, and stuff, and so sometimes it's just a wrinkle on the sheet or my sweats are curled up on my waistline and I cannot get that I'm trying to straighten it out and whatever it is, it's just rubbing against that spot and it's not all the time, but it's really uncomfortable because I do
Yeah,
get the burning and all that stuff on the legs, but around my waist, like above my tailbone, that's a sensitive spot there where it could be a wrinkle and it feels like I'm laying on a rock,
yeah,
you know?
definitely comforting. Um, I know who just it was Bart that said try edibles for sleeping.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's a hit and miss for me. So sometimes it I can't feel it because I didn't probably take too much or
yeah,
not enough.
not
And
enough. Yeah,
then I took too much, and then it's like, oh, I don't like this feeling.
yeah,
So dealing with edibles and me, it gets shaky. I will do it after a while. I
yeah,
do have some
yeah,
gummies that I do like, and there was a period of time I had another brand of gummies that sleep gummies that helped, and then all of a sudden one day it just stopped. I think I even told you about it
yeah,
a while
yeah.
back ago,
I
and
remember.
those, yeah, and just then I take it and like, nope, it's not working the same. And then I took double, And then I was like, whoop, too much.
Too
So
much, yeah.
yeah.
Well, I know because I do the CBD, I do the drops, and that helps with the any of the discomfort, the pain, just to take the edge off. But it also helps me sleep, depending on how much
Mhm.
I take if I need it or whatever. Um, so yeah, CBD's kind of been pretty helpful for me,
Yeah.
and like it helps me sleep when if I need to, and I'll take a bigger dose in the morning. If there's some reason why I'm really achy and all that stuff, I'll use just drops. And so there's like 2-3 drops just to get in my system. It helps a little bit with the shoulders, or I laid on it, or because I have the arthritis shit going on now, but my hands stiffen up at night until I get them moving in the morning and all that. So I deal with all that crap now and kind of getting a little frustrated with it. But I mean, you deal with it and get through it, just like we've been doing for the last years and years and years. So it's good to see everybody in here
Yeah.
on the comments.
And John got back to us about, yeah, lots of pain that he couldn't, maybe he was meaning could feel spasming on his right side and had a really high blood count. And obviously, I just wanted to say something about that in the sense that we know our body so well. And when you don't feel something just right, and I mean, we know when it's just not right, it's better to not wait and let it get worse. Just go get it checked out. I mean, a
Yeah,
lot of times too, that white blood count can really tell us a lot that it's, there's an infection and
yeah,
something's going on. And I know back in my young days, I waited too long sometimes before going to the hospital or getting that UTI treated. And, it's something now if I just don't feel just quite right, I get it checked out by my doctor and get
yeah,
a heads up and use that portal. So, definitely get it checked out sooner rather than later.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's good advice, man. Just like we always say, listen to your body. Your body's trying to tell you something. We do it for everything else in our life, is dealing with the spinal cord injury, but you got to do it with your regular able. I mean, you're not your able body life. You're just your regular life health, not just spinal cord injury health. It's life health.
Absolutely. And then Renee asked, I don't nothing with our subject, but it's the bullet train from Los Angeles to Vegas. Let me know if they even approved it because or if it's going to be built because I heard like Nevada's like, hey, California, you pay for it, and California's like,
Yeah,
no, you pay
yeah,
for it. So they're like, well, and I think really Nevada should pay for it, or basically Vegas should pay for it because they're the ones bringing everybody in from
yeah.
California, but yeah, that would be pretty cool to be on a bullet
Oh,
train
that'd be
and
great. But
yeah,
I've
better
been
be
hearing about that forever. How long has it they've been talking about that?
since I was going to Vegas back in 90, starting
Exactly,
of 93, 92
exactly.
when I started going on a regular basis and now I don't go it's not my kind of town like it used to be
Yeah,
back in the
yeah.
day.
I
Gotten
wanted
way
to.
too big.
I wanted to live there. I figured when I was going to retire, my plans were always to sell the house here and go to Vegas, get a little condo on the strip at the MGM or one of those places. And when it came down to the point, so check it out. So when it came down to it, I did find a place. It was kind of cool. Is at the residences at the MGM. So I was going to sell the house, get the cash from there, and buy a little condo. 1 2 bedroom condo, whatever. So I could afford that. But the association fees were like $1,300 a month. And I go, what's the point?
It's like a
There's a little bar that was accessible. I'd use the bar. I'd probably use a little restaurant, but nothing else.
yeah. What do you really pay for? That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I used to really be into Vegas.
But that is one of my dreams one day to go to. I think it's in Hong Kong where you can, or Japan where you can, do use those bullet trains out there, and it just
Yeah,
looks amazing. Especially after I saw the Brad Pitt movie on Netflix, Bullet Train,
yeah,
which
yeah,
was I don't know I was highly entertained during that
yeah.
whole
That was a
movie
good
was
movie. That was
yeah.
a good movie.
And then my brother, he told me about they have he goes, "Did you read the book?" I'm like, "There's a book." Hell yeah! And so I got the book, and that was great. So
Yeah, I'm a fan of Brad Pitt. I've seen him in some really good movies, and I really got back into him, me being his fan is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or is that? I think that
Yeah.
was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So, because these guys start acting, you forget they're acting. You buy into their character. You even forget who they are. But yeah, nothing like a really good movie, really.
Yeah. That I've seen that many times just because it was done so well.
Yeah.
Um, and Christina said I'm more of a Laughlin type of person. I think now that's definitely where I'm at right now
Yeah.
too. So, yeah. All right. Well, anything else before we wrap up our little just
Nope.
open discussion? I'm glad everyone was able to join us, and make sure you hit that like button. Please hit that like button. I'm glad to see our chat and everybody in. And I know Mikey Boy came in. What's up, Mike Lee? Hope you're doing well. So um, your experience. Your experience makes sense with edibles. Just read and study um, where you wind up having to take more of some past results, especially when using THC. Yep,
Yep.
that's what it's
And,
all about.
and one other thing I'd like to add, if you do look into that Eucora and use or something, like check with your doctor too, just to make sure, because I know I ran it by my doctor. He says, yeah, worth a try. So just check with your doctor for your own situation.
Yeah. And hey, Fred, Tom. Hey, you want to do our sponsors real quick, Robert?
Yeah, today we're sponsored by Mobility Professionals and Urology Professionals. Mobility Professionals is more of a wheelchair mobility company based here in Southern California. So if you're here in the area, you can check them out for all your wheelchair and yeah, mobility needs. Their sister station is Urology Professionals, which is a national company for all catheters and things like that. You can check them out, see if they handle your insurance. And a newer sponsor that we have here is Feeldom, and they'll be all these sponsors will be at the Expo this weekend. So you guys want to check them out, and and hope to see you there. I'll be there tomorrow, and I know Shawn and Tom will be there the 3 days, and I know Brianna's going to be there. And so yeah, it'll be nice. I'm looking forward to it. And like I said, there's actually a lot of things that I want to see. It looks like there's a pretty good list of vendors. I was checking them out on the website there, and there's a lot of vendors
Yeah.
that are going to be there. So check it out
And
if you have the chance.
if
What's
yeah,
that?
if you're going to be there, check out Feldham bags. They're great wheelchair bags for your wheelchair, a bunch of different sizes, and great zippers for those with uh, having harder function with your hands. So they have the rings on the zippers. So definitely check out our new sponsor for the month of March. And, Dean and mobility professionals and urology professionals will definitely be there. Plus,
Yep.
Shawn and the Gain is going to be there. We're once again, booth 1103. And one thing I want to say about the Billy's Expo, for those that I forget, somebody said they were in Mississippi, and I don't want to screw it up. But those who don't live close to the Abilities Expo or can't make Abilities Expo just because of where you live, still go to the website, Abilities Expo, and sign up for their email list. And I just recently been checking it out because a lot of times they show off their products that are there, and you can read more about the product. So even though you might not be able to check it out in person, but you can find out all these great vendors that go to the Billy's Expo, and then they do a lot of featuring of it, plus a lot of great stories and feature articles on people doing things in the community and finding out more about stuff that you might not know.
Yep. Yep.
So
A lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff there. I love it. The technology nowadays too, man,
yeah.
is crazy.
Well, all right. It's about that time. We kind of keep it a little bit shorter than the other shows. And just so you guys can get in, get out, we got 17 people viewing. Please hit that like button. We're here second and fourth Tuesday of every month. So come
Thursday,
back.
second and fourth Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. And
Yeah.
so please come back. But the first and third Thursday of every month is our women's show with Brianna. So she's going to be back next Thursday. And as always, check me, Tom, and Shawn every Tuesday at 3:30. We're on. Come join us. Thanks for hanging out, taking the time to join us. I really appreciate it. And, great questions today in the chat. So keep it up.
Right on. Thanks for
All
joining
right,
us. Lift your roll.
everyone, stay healthy.